our next guest, who has been elected now, has served as almost his first term. Has only got, 6 months to go before the whole contest will start again in the Wellington City Council area. Councillor Tony Randle, in our letter from Wellington, which we usually have at about this time, on a quite momentous day, really. Councillor Randle, Tony joins us now. Tony, welcome to the show, mate.
Good morning.
Momentous day, Tony.
Yes, it's so the big news that's buzzing around Wellington is the withdrawal of our mayor, or the announcement, leaked first of all around yesterday. But the announcement today that the mayor, Tory Whanau, has withdrawn from standing to be re-elected. And she's decided she's instead, and she's not going away, she's decided she wishes to be the Green candidate for the Maori ward in the city. So she
Last
wants to become a
night,
councillor.
again on Kiwi Blog, and I gave David Farah some big ups on this, but David Farah last night on Kiwi Blogs probably announced this before anybody else. He had a pretty good inkling of it. He said on his blog last night that she was going to stand down and announce that this morning, which she's duly done. She's done an exclusive with the New Zealand Herald. It was embargoed until 5 a.m. Because of that exclusive with the New Zealand Herald. What an odd choice, Tony, can I just say? I'll deal with that first. That she chose the New Zealand Herald to announce that and not your local newspapers, Post or Stuff or Radio New Zealand or anything like that based in Wellington.
Yeah, I think she's had a friendly relationship with the Herald. She's had an I mean, the media have, I guess, called her to account on a number of issues. Let's put it that way. And to a certain extent, perhaps she sees the Post as more critical of her. I think the Post is actually just focusing on the issues. And she's also stopped appearing, as all mayors have done for, I understand, the past decade, on News Talk ZB once a month, just to be interviewed about the matters of the day. So she's sort of withdrawn from some of the media, and I guess the Herald is her favoured platform at the moment.
That's a very green thing to do. The left and the Greens in particular, Te Pāti Māori be another, they only go on media that they think will be sympathetic to their cause. That's extraordinary when you have either members of parliament or mayors elected, that they will only talk to one particular side of the political spectrum.
Yeah, and it's disappointing because really the mayor is the mayor of the city, and city comes in all flavours. Wellington City probably got more flavours than most cities, in fact. But yeah, her picking and choosing of what's going to happen, it's a wee bit hit and miss. And I'll say that she hasn't really been focusing on the big job. I mean, she's also come out, for example, and said she's doing a submission in support of lowering the voting age to 16, and that's what we're going to talk about tomorrow. That came out of the mayor's office, and yet, those aren't the big issues that are facing Wellington. Housing affordability and this sort of stuff. And yeah, so she's picks a few things, and look, I'm sorry, but she's withdrawn now, so she's. I guess
well, she hasn't withdrawn. She's still your mayor for the next 6 months. It's not really a withdrawal, is it? I mean, okay, no, she's not standing again, but I mean, she's still got plenty of time to do a lot of damage in the next 6 months.
Yes. Well, I'll call it damage. I think her withdrawal is also a repudiation, perhaps, of her agenda as well. I mean, it wasn't being sold. It wasn't popular.
Or was it also, and she mentions in the press story that I read in the New Zealand Herald this morning, or was it also that she knew she was personally unelectable, that there were qualities about both her leadership, her private life, intruding upon her public life, that made her also unelectable? She was behind in a poll that was held with Ray Chung, who, well, listen, whatever his particular virtues, is not going to set the world on fire. And now, of course, with Craig Little entering the contest, there was a suggestion last night that she was likely to lose the backing of the Greens in the coming election. Had you heard that as well?
Yeah, it's very unclear. I'm not obviously a member of the Greens, so I don't know. But one of the messages I got is the Greens were not going to endorse her as the mayoral candidate.
Mm,
Um, and
that's what I heard.
and I look, and maybe we're hearing it from the same source. It's very unclear about what would have been, but that's a big. It's a big step down from her withdrawing so early. Look, she announced her campaign 8 days ago that she was campaigning.
Yes, that's right.
She's campaigned for 8 days, and now
Yeah,
she's out.
yeah.
Um, I think that it's a recognition, and I guess you got to. I'm not sure if you give credit to recognizing that she wasn't popular, and therefore it was never going to work for her. But it's also disappointing, after so many things being done to the city in the name that she had the mandate, she had the votes, and now she's sort of recognising that she doesn't, or certainly not anymore.
I'm also interested in her decision, can I say, to contest the next election for the Maori ward. I think it's called E Whananui Atara, the Maori ward. Forgive me if I'm wrong, but isn't there only one Maori candidate that comes, sorry, only one Maori seat on the Wellington City Council?
Yes, there is. There's one councillor from the Maori ward, and the current councillor is called Nico Winera.
Isn't he a Green?
And he's a Green. He's a Green, but he's decided not to stand.
Ah, I see.
So there's a vacancy from the Green Party perspective. There's also a Labor. The Labor candidate, Matt, is re-standing again, and
Matthew
so
Rarity.
there is a Labor candidate, but there's a vacancy on the Green side, and I think that and Tory. Look, I'm quite shocked. Really, I haven't heard of Amir stepping down to go back to being a councillor. I'm new to council, so maybe that hasn't happened, but it certainly hasn't happened around Wellington for a long time. But that's what she wants to do, and there is a vacancy there, and so we'll see what happens.
Yes, I note that Nico Winera won the Maori seat at the last election over Matthew Rarity relatively closely. I also note how few Maori there are, obviously, in Wellington, given the fact that he won with 870 votes. So when you think of all of Wellington City, which is what's your population? 220,000 or whatever it is, isn't it?
It's about 202,000, 200 something like that. But yeah, the Maori ward is much smaller than the other wards.
Well, it's all of the city, but you just don't have a lot of registered Maori voters. Is that right?
We don't have that many registered Maori voters, and the voting turnout in the Maori ward was also especially low. So
okay.
I think the difference was maybe 100 votes or something like that.
Yeah,
but me
872
as a
to
Northern Ward
805.
councillor, I had to get thousands of votes to get elected.
I know.
It's hard work.
Welcome to Maori wards. They're an easy route and entree. All right. Listen, the other thing about her standing down was you're a councillor. How do you find out first about it?
So I first heard about it from another councillor who said there's going to be a big announcement, and I heard about that around 4 o'clock yesterday, and that was and the councillor said, I can't tell you what it is, but you won't be surprised.
Who was that councillor? Were they a left-wing councillor? Okay, were they a left-wing councillor?
It was one of the right-wing councillors. And then I separately found out later on, around 7:30, from a councillor who wasn't a right-wing councillor. But it's, I'm at the end of the networks. There are councillors I've since found out who knew for most of the day that it was happening. And then, that's it was a bit odd. So I'm not. You're not talking to the most networked councillor.
So there was no email that went out to you this morning to say I'm standing down and these are the reasons why?
No. In fact, I've been asked, why weren't councillors informed of this? And the reality is, whether a person decides to stand or not is actually more over to them and their party. That's fair enough. But the way it was packaged more for the media rather than us, finding out by way of rumour. The other thing about Wellington, of course, is there is no secrets. In the end, we place the place leaks like a sieve
Mm.
when it comes to information. And it was no surprise that we found it early. And there was, quite frankly, a number of people who were celebrating, because she is quite unpopular.
No, I understand that. Listen, policies or personality or both is the reason for her demise.
Yes. Well, it's not just it's three things, actually. It's lack of experience, personality, and policy.